Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Well, just want to point out that at the moment there has been a bit of a sell-off or call it profit taking off the highs, all the indices as you can see, and now the Nifty looks like is going into flat terrain. Slightly worrisome, but let's wait and see. It's moving towards it's not yet in the red, but it's getting very close over there, so that bears watching. We're going to speak about positive things, and the GDP numbers did give us some positive cues, and now it looks like the construction companies are doing very well. Orders galore coming in for Ashoka Buildcon as Macquarie Ashoka bagged the toll operator transfer project for 9,700 crore rupees. That's a big one for Ashoka. The company has also emerged as the lowest bidder for a hybrid annuity model project worth 860 crores. Satish Parakh, Managing Director, Ashoka Buildcon, joins us. Good morning, Satish. Thank you very much. This is the first of the TOT, toll operator transfer projects. How much do y'all make in this project in terms of margins?
Yeah, good morning, Radha. See, this TOT is the first of its kind, and Macquarie has bid for this project, and Ashoka is O&M partner in this project. So our part will be EPC to the tune of 1,025 crores in first 2 years, and we are likely to get O&M for next 30 years.
You are likely to get O&M?
Yeah.
That is operations and management?
Operation and maintenance of the road.
Maintenance, okay. So, I mean, how does that work in terms of a run rate? How much money is it?
See, it's like 1,025 crores of EPC I am likely to get in
sure.
2 years. And then every year for next 30 years, there will be periodic maintenance and routine maintenance as well as operations of toll plaza. So this will be like, continuous work for next 30 years, which will be of a smaller value. Okay. But 1,025 crores of EPC is what is
it's a big thing for you.
Okay, 1,025 crores in the first 2 years. Any way to calculate what the margins could be from this particular project?
These are like our regular EPC margins.
Okay, which would be around what?
12 to 13% of EBITDA.
Okay. You have another hybrid annuity model project as well. Can you tell us about that 860 crore one? If you can tell us how the margins, what is the time? Sorry.
Yeah, this is 816 crores project to be completed in 2 years' time, and this is in the state of Jharkhand.
Okay, what do you make on that?
Here also we will make a routine IRR of 12 to 15%, and also EPC margins as we are doing for all other projects from 12 to 14%.
You said 20% you will make on EPC?
12 to 14% of EBITDA margin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to come back to that earlier TOT project. Just have a couple of more questions there. It involves 5 highways running across Andhra Pradesh, 4 in Gujarat. So on an average, what kind of traffic growth can we expect?
See, basically we have been playing only part of O&M. So any comment on traffic by me on these highways is not possible.
Okay. And is there any kind of equity commitment from Ashoka Buildcon's side, and how are you planning to fund it if there is?
No, there's no equity commitment from Ashoka Buildcon. We are purely O&M partner.
Oh, that's good. But what's your debt anyway?
Our debt today?
Yeah.
Our project debt is around 4,500 crores.
Okay.
And parent company, of course, doesn't have any significant debt.
Okay. How does this go here on? Do you see this load increasing as you may get more and more projects?
Yes, a lot of projects are now coming up in the next 2 quarters. So we may pick up some of the hybrid annuity projects and build up our order book. And financing-wise, company is very well placed.
Okay,
so there is no stress on equity.
Okay, that's very good to hear. Would you say, therefore, the cycle is turning in terms of orders coming your way?
Yes, definitely. We are seeing very good times coming ahead.
Okay. So what is the order book now, and some idea of how might it improve?
Ashoka order book as of last results we declared was 6,000 crores. And L1 we are in this 816 crores of project in Jharkhand. And definitely this 1,025 where a winning bid of Macquarie is there. So we are likely to get that also.
Okay.
And definitely we are participating in most of the HAM bids.
Okay.
We
In
are going
fact,
to see a lot of bids by June end.
sure. The street really likes what you're saying because the stock has now moved up to the high point, up about 7%. Just one quick last question. This O&M partnership with Macquarie, will it be housed in Ashoka Concessions or in the standalone Ashoka Buildcon entity?
This is in Ashoka Buildcon.
All right, Mr. Parag, thanks a lot for your time today. That's Ashoka Buildcon. By the way, I just want to point out two things. One, the PSU Bank Index is now at the low of the day. That rally actually has been sold into, and well and truly sold into. So that's Nifty PSU Bank, and it's again being led by PNB once again. PNB, in fact, right now is back at the low point of the day. So just see the intraday chart of that stock. So obviously, that's the problem now at every higher level. Every time it's going to 100, there's fresh selling which is emerging and which is taking it back to the low point of the day. So that's point number one. And point number two is a couple of pharma stocks are again beginning to move up. Dr. Reddy's clearly the market likes, what it's been hearing for the last few days now. And that stock continuously from the low point is seeing quite a bit of rally. Once again, making a move and almost back into the green.
Yeah, and it's actually Oro that's climbing on its shoulders. It's the best performing pharma stock. But I take your point that today has been a good day for generally the pharma stocks.
Yes, but PSU banks will be interesting to see 2% lower now is what we have on Punjab National Bank.
Okay. That's the story in the markets now. Given up all the early morning gains, mid caps in the red, Sensex mildly so in the red, and Nifty Bank is getting there. It's just about 20 points higher. So there's been a rapid sell-off that we have seen across the board. The ratio of advance to decline was at one point in time 2.5 stocks in the green for 1 in the red, and it's now whittled down to 1.7 in the green for 1 in the red. So that's also showing a bit of narrowing of that gap. Okay, now let's shift to another management we don't normally get except during results time. The RBL management joins us. Rajiv Ahuja, Executive Director. Well, Rajiv, thank you very much for joining us. Your name is being mentioned in every merger case that is being talked about in investment banking circles. Are you very keen on inorganic moves?
Lata, we have enough on our plate in terms of our own business engines. They are reaching inflection points. We see great opportunities. Obviously, we are not going to be not looking at what's happening in the market, but there's nothing which is on the table. There's nothing which is distracting us from our regular day-to-day. And we've grown, between 30 and 35% in all our businesses over the last 9 months in a challenging environment. I think we see enough opportunities to continue doing what we can do best, where we have some amount of knowledge, some amount of governance. And then as opportunities present, we evaluate them, but we are not materially looking at anything right now.
Mr. Ahuja, good morning. Specifically about Canfin Homes, are you an interested buyer?
No, look, I think we know that Canfin Homes, there's some sell down process on. We've not yet ventured into the housing segment. Clearly we don't want to do the large urban housing ticket sizes, but yes, in the smaller housing we are interested, but we're very early. We've set up a team to evaluate how this business shapes up. I think that market has got 15-20 years of runway. We will certainly look at all manners of opportunity, but it's not important for us to jump into it just because it's something very much there or much talked about.
Okay. Well, what about microfinance? At one point in time, you were very keen on that space. You wanted to buy.
See, our own financial inclusion business, which is a lot more than just MFI, has grown after a pause of about 6-8 months, has grown between 30 and 50%, and we have now footprint in about 20 states with almost 750 branches focused on that. So we really don't need anything inorganic unless it comes with a very, very high quality team, operations, technology. Our own business is evolving very nicely and very neatly there, and the idea is to keep growing and keep learning from past mistakes. So that's an area we like, Lata. So I'm not saying it's not an interesting area, but we have enough happening in our own shop right now.
Okay. Well, do you want to get into gold loans by any chance? Were you or are you interested in Manappuram? Because that's something that people are talking about as well.
No, so I don't want to make a comment on the name, but we certainly are not focused on gold loans as a very large product. We think as a bank we have a responsibility to actually leverage our platform and our licensing in more than one ways. So even in our inclusive finance and retail businesses, we do the gamut of services. So yeah, we might build a gold loan, but nothing right now. But you know, again, the idea is not to acquire something which is so alien to what you are prepared to handle. So clearly, inclusive finance, retail has been something we've already done a bit, so we understand the risks better.
Okay, all that was about inorganic moves. Now, let me just have one more word on the general business itself. In the third quarter, there was a niggling asset quality issue. Slippages were nearly 3 times what it was in the second quarter. Provisioning cover fell. How's Q4 looking? Any better?
So I think we made the comment even that time that the December numbers you saw were impacted by 1 or 2 very specific things, which frankly were very specific issues which we see resolution of. And the general trend in the last 9 months, if you strip out the microfinance problems post demonetization, if you see the rest of the book actually has improved quite substantially. Microfinance itself has been the biggest contributor to the GNPA. So if you took that as a one-off, and I hope that's a one-off, our actually overall asset quality has been quite robust. And we think going forward, while our mix of businesses is going to become more retail, so that will contribute to a general elevated GNPA. But I think if you see the general trend, we will be in the same ballpark. And as the microfinance problems get fully absorbed, which we think this year we've done some of them, next year will be a substantial portion of provisioning, we should see that one-off really dropping our overall GNPA. But at the same time, Lata, we have to recognize that we are living in a fairly challenging macro environment, while things on the margin are improving. So we have to be very careful. We have to really assume that there will be risks attendant with outside of our own actions. So we better be prepared for them.
All right, Mr. Ahuja, thanks a lot for your time today. That's RBL Bank stock at 490. Well, the market has turned a bit. The mid-cap index is now down in the red. In fact, the Nifty and Bank Nifty also there. Advance decline still in favor of the advances, but it's a bit of a reverse trade playing out. You thought that maybe things would start lower and then pick up. Things have actually started on a firm side and have then started to recede a bit. Ashwini and Mitesh back with us. Rajat Bose is also with us. Ashwini, things have changed in the last 30 minutes. Since we last spoke. Your thoughts? Are you still looking for buying opportunity, and what would be the individual calls?
See, my sense is this dip should be bought into, and it should be bought into, say, with a yesterday or today's low as a stop, which are both fairly nearby. I think the bears are trying to take the market lower, but if they fail, then chances are, given the short positions we already have, we could have an upside later on, because the market is fairly crunched down. The weakest part of the market is fairly close to support zones, and there are enough stocks on the upside as well. So if large banking stocks they stop falling, then chances are there could be another resumption of this rally. Having said that, I think individual stocks, Voltas is a buy with a stop of 620, target of 645. Fortis, I believe, is now getting above 165. That's a buy with a stop of 162, target of 176. And Dalmia Bharat, like I mentioned, it's coming off a bottom. So that is a buy with a stop of 2700, target of 2820.
Okay, Mitesh and Rajat are also with us. Mitesh, good morning yet again. Now what is a trading idea?
Yeah, so I think trading the market may not be a good idea. I think, we are not getting clear signs of a directional bias. I think I was looking at some downward follow through, which has not clearly happened. So maybe it's not going anywhere. It just might settle down for a couple of days. Having said that, I think on stock specific basis, Bajaj Auto is something which is reversed with a gap up. So that's very appealing for me. That's typically a good sign. Try to buy around 30-70 mark with a stop below 30-38. Look for 31-30 or thereabouts as the first target. And the second buy call which I have, that's on Hindustan Zinc with a stop at 323 for targets of around 340-342.
Okay, Rajat Bose also joins in. Rajat, flat for the markets now. It's come off a bit, but in terms of individual stocks, what would you buy or sell now?
I have quite a few buy calls. Actually, just as you said, that individual stocks or future contracts are doing pretty well. So from that perspective, I would like to buy Sun TV futures with the stop below 929. Targets are 943 and 949. Havells with the stop below, again, March futures. 515 is my stop loss, 527 and 533 are the two targets. And one pharma stock that is showing signs of some traction and at least some movement on the upside is likely. Aurobindo Pharma, March futures, stop below 618, targets would be 637 and 645. And finally, Mahanagar Gas. This chart looks really good. Stop loss on closing price basis would be 1050, targets would be 1076 and 1089. This can be bought even from a medium term perspective in delivery. The stock looks really good.
Okay, in fact, Ashwini, I wanted to follow up on both MGL, that's making fresh highs right now,
Yes.
and also on, IDBI Bank, which is clearly, moving separately up from the PSU Bank, the rest of the PSU banks.
See, IDBI Bank remains stronger than the other PSU banks, and other than the ones which have fraud etc. involved. Yesterday it hit a low of about 69. So today it's resuming that trend. So several banks are in the positive as well, even though Bank Nifty may have come off. So this looks like a buy with a stop say around 73, and we could look at targets of 85. And which is the other one?
Mahanagar Gas.
See, gas did well even yesterday. So I think oil and gas, we've already seen Reliance has done extremely well. So even on Mahanagar Gas, although it is not an outperformer in the gas space, it went through a massive bear market in the last few months. From here, we can easily get back towards 1150, 1160 on Mahanagar Gas.
Do you like any of the future group stocks? Future Lifestyle, Ashwini, has hit a new high today. Future Retail is also making some attempt to recover. Anything there that you like?
See, Future Lifestyle was in a narrow range. That's broken out. So that's probably now ready for 480, 500. And that's where, if this consumer thing picks up with Voltas, etc., I think that should impact retail also. So that way I think this segment should have its traction.
Okay. Well, actually, I can't take my eyes off IPCA as well. And in a totally different sector, First Source. What's happening in First Source? Any thoughts, Ashwini, First Source?
See, A, it is the tailwind of, mid-cap IT, etc. And B, it's coming out of, fairly long-term range. And once we start trading above 50, I think you could have a target closer to 70, 75. So like I said, all declines on mid-cap IT is getting bought into strongly.
30% higher this year. I mean, year to date. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us with your thoughts. Okay, and there's another construction order coming by for L&T, 1,500 crores. So well and truly, construction in capex and cement all buzzing. And you can see that in ticker after ticker, flash after flash of orders coming by. But let's pause a bit and go to the commodity space. That one has just opened, and opening cues from Manisha Gupta.
Thank you, Lata, so much for that. Well, it hasn't started as a very positive day. One, of course, we are looking at the macro picture where you have the US dollar trading at around 5-week highs. And on the other side, the individual fundamentals and the kind of economic data that we are reacting to also has not been so positive. So net, it looks like we are ending this week on a slightly bearish note, at least for the Indian markets here. For the crude oil prices, we have opened more than 1% on the lower side. It's a third straight day of decline that we have seen in for crude. There has been a surge in the inventory buildup on a weekly basis in US for crude, for gasoline, and for other couple of energy products as well. There also has been end of month profit taking reported, and all of that clearly weighing onto the prices, just about holding 4,000 rupees per barrel now for the Indian crude oil prices. The gold and silver prices also have been under pressure. We did see some opportunity buying on the lower side, but that clearly has not been able to hold on. So further declines coming in here, the strength in US dollar, and markets are holding back on the physical buying as well, as there is expectation that you could see further correction in prices. That's yet another added factor weighing onto the prices. The base metal prices then have been quite mixed. We did see some buying yesterday in the New York session. Asia did open on the weaker side, but you are looking at some buying on the lower side there. Of course, the long-term picture is still bullish, is something that everybody would tell you. The kind of demand estimates that the markets are putting in for the third and the fourth quarter of this year are quite on the positive side. And in any case, this is the second straight year where that you are looking at a deficit in for many of those metals. The economic data has not been so good, and that's the reason you are looking at some flat moves coming in for many of those metals. Lead essentially has seen a huge buildup in inventories on one single day yesterday, up by nearly 12%, and that is taking that price down further on your screens. Trading strategies, we have them from Angel, and they have sell call on a couple of those commodities. For lead, as I mentioned, they are expecting the prices to decline further. 161.5 is their intraday target for that one. They also have a sell call for the crude oil prices. 4,040 is what they're anticipating. We already have seen that price actually being breached on the opening trades.
All right, Manisha, thanks for that. Those are Maruti's numbers just flashing for you on the screen. Bang in line with what the street was estimating. It's a 15% growth that Maruti has seen this time around. And what I think what stands out this quarter is that exports have been picking up across the board. Whether it's with Bajaj Auto, even with Maruti, it's a 25% growth in exports. So we're seeing a good amount of rebound. Domestic sales have in any case been doing well, no problems there. And the new launches, 40% growth in compact sales, which includes, you know, your Ignis, your Celerio, Baleno, etc. Almost a 40% growth there at 65,000 units. So good numbers in line with expectations.
Oh yes, phenomenal company actually. Maruti is, you know, I think one of the only companies which actually replaces its best-selling model almost every 2 or 3 years. Swift and Swift Desire. And you know, just that aspirational bit over there, of course, is helping. By the way, you know, we're just talking about you know, commodity market. Oil and gas clearly is emerging as one of the big sectors. And apart from gas stocks, just take a look at intraday charts of BPCL, HPCL. Obviously, that move on crude is helping now. And on top of that, currency also from the low point has recovered. So there's a bit of a double factor which is playing out right now. Both BPCL and HPCL moving to high point of the day. Let's pull out IOC as well. That's of course the largest of the lot. These stocks, all of them have gone ex-dividend as well. So you know, after that there was some selling, but now that selling is getting absorbed, especially in HPCL and BPCL.